At this time, the Budget Committee will reconvene. We have a quorum. I'll ask that the emergency announcement be played.
Before we get started, let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles.
Okay, at this time, we'll go to item G1, discussion of the tax rate, and I'll ask Randy to update us.
Chairman,
Yes.
I move we forward to item G1 to the agenda committee.
Okay. We'll got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Randy?
And embedded in that is that it remains a $2.15 property tax rate with the distribution still remaining the same, which is 64 cents to general county, 43 cents to debt service, and $1.08 to education.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
With debt service remaining at 43, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Where will that leave debt service fund balance? Can you, I've got a question with 43 cents, and what effect will that have on debt service fund balance?
The total fund balance in the debt service fund audited at June 30, 2012 was $11.4 million. We used almost $1.6 million during the course of that year to balance that fund. That left us with an audited fund balance at June 30, 2013 of $9.8 million. In the current budget, FY 13-14, we're expected to use $1.7 million. That would leave us with a projected fund balance this June of $8.1 million. The budget proposal before you today, as a result of the refinancing that we did this year on the E1A and E5A bonds, and coupled with the success of the sales tax passing, we estimate an additional $600,000 in revenue in the debt service fund as a result of that. We should end, we're projecting in the FY15 budget that we would have a surplus of $400,000. So we would no longer be relying on fund balance in our debt service fund.
The debt service fund balance year end June 30, 14, 15 would be 8.1 plus 400,000.
That's correct. We're projecting roughly $8.6 million. Debt service fund balance is projected to increase in the new budget.
Is there any other discussion?
Yeah,
Steve?
Randy, you said that there would be no use of fund balance. Is that what I just heard? That we're not going to use any fund balance?
We are projecting in the fiscal 15 budget proposal, we are projecting no use of fund balance in the debt service fund.
Okay.
We are projecting an increase to fund balance in that fund.
So we're not taking any out, we're actually putting it back in?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Randy. And all the changing, all the debt swapping, and all that stuff, this county has come out to be a big plus in debt service at the end of 15, because all that plays into the picture of refinancing and all those debts and all that type of thing. And that's where we're going to end up in 15 with no use of fund out of debt service. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, so.
Any other discussion?
Yes. Troy, are you here? Yeah. Did we come up with a number on how much the sales tax is going to benefit the school system? I know we're pulling 600,000 for debt service. Troy, can you?
$360,000.
Is that because you have 600 is going to debt service, but you're only getting 320? Is that because is that being split more with the Maryville and Alcoa? Is that what it is? What's going on?
My understanding and what I've been told is that that's just the additional revenues that will be projected to be collected in the businesses that are in the unincorporated and county sites only.
Okay.
I've been told that for the additional taxes collected within the city of Maryville and city of Alcoa, that revenue would not begin to be split until July 1, 2015.
Either of you, has there been a resolution to the mixed drink and that tax and the split on that?
Mr. Chair, before we order, we're discussing right now
I'm just trying to get it, whether if there's extra money going to be there.
I withdraw my point of order.
And if there's no resolution to it, there's no resolution.
The simple answer is there's no resolution.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Is there any more questions? Okay, thank you, Troy. Any other discussion? Do we need to vote to send this on, the discussion on the tax rate on to the commission? Okay.
The motion was to send the resolution to the full commission.
Yeah. I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Kirby? Lewis? Mitchell?
Yes.
Moon?
Yes.
Samples? The motion's passed.
Okay. Item G2, a discussion of fiscal year 14-15 budget. Randy? Do I need, you want me to go, let's get it on the floor. Do I have a motion to discuss?
I move to send the resolution for the full commission.
Do I have a second? Have a motion and a second. I'll now open it for discussion. Randy, you want to?
Yes, based on the cumulative discussions we've had in our budget workshops, and based on my individual meetings with each of you, and the feedback I've gotten, and we've updated everything as currently as the information is available to us. The proposed resolution would be $44,936,286 would be the recommended general fund 101 budget. That compares to the current amended budget of $45,434,845. So it is a reduction of what we currently have appropriated for all of our departments in the general county fund only. Now, the issue here is we would be relying on the use of fund balance for the second year in a row to make that budget balance. And that's not anything I take a lot of pride in recommending to you, but under the circumstances, I don't have any rabbits I can pull out of the hat to fix that problem. We embedded in this, in the revenue assumptions, we have gone back, I've gotten the most current property valuations, and we have recalculated the value of the penny. The mayor previously notified you that the penny was worth, I think it was $310,800. The revised value of the penny would be $312,500. And then we have spread that throughout our revenue assumptions, and it was embedded in the valuation of the tax rate resolution you just adopted to send to the full commission. So, right now, this $44.9 million budget that is proposed for fiscal 15, presumes that we would use $4.5 million of fund balance to make it balance.
Out of a total of how much, Randy?
Our total fund balance that we're projecting as of the end of this year would be $11.4 million. And that's in the general county.
Any other discussion?
Is this recommendation to move forward with Budget Committee approval, or just to move it forward for discussion?
Motion was,
Resolution forward to full commission.
does anyone want to amend this, make this a recommendation? Okay.
I want to forward it, I don't particularly want to recommend it.
Okay. All right. Is that the way everybody wants to push it forward?
Now,
You want to recommend it?
I got a question.
Remember, we're only talking about the general county right now. I've got the other funds that I want to read into the record so that we'll know that's part of the total appropriation resolution. Remember, the appropriation resolution that commission adopts is all of our operating funds. So it would be the general county 101, which is what I just gave you. Then there would be 131, which is the highway department fund, then the school funds, then the debt service fund, and then the capital funds. And they're all part of the appropriation resolution. All of those are.
Right.
And I'm prepared to go over those as well. I just want to start with the general county because that's one that the tax rate is most closely associated with.
But the 101 is in particular that you're saying we need that use of fund balance for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Pennies are not changing.
No, sir.
On the 44167488 for 1314, and the actually ended up being 44,936,286, right?
No, we're actually, the budget as amended for the current year, fiscal 14 budget is 45.4 million. The proposal for 15 is 44,936.
And that
So
would
it's a
be-
reduction from the current year budget as amended.
So we actually going back instead of going forward on that.
We are reducing the budget from
We're
the
reducing the
current.
budget and going back and still keeping it on the 215 and still keeping it going.
Yes,
Fund balance.
with the use of fund balance, just as this year's budget was adopted with the use of fund balance.
Now, we predicted last year using quite a bit out of fund balance that we did not use. So
That-
actually, what did that figure end up being?
Last year,
Or this fiscal, the year we ended up in this year of 13, of 14?
I think I understand. Last year, we came back to you with a budget amendment because we ended up having a surplus in last year's budget, not a deficit, which is what I assumed we would have based on the information we had when we adopted the budget.
Now, is my 2.9 million out of fund balance to take care of a 213, 214 budget? Is that correct?
I think that we will end up using less fund balance in the current budget than we estimated when you adopted the budget.
Which that was 2.9.
That's my estimate right now.
And we're looking at over here at the end of 15, we're looking at, you're proposing $4 million something out of fund balance. And we did the same thing last year, and everything started getting a little better, and everything, we ended up at 2.9, and that we was going to use around 4 last time. Is that
Well,
correct?
Yes, your point is, and if I misstate this, correct me, but the point I think you're trying to make is we appropriate money.
Right.
And it's not always spent.
Used.
And that is enlightening to some people who believe that we spend everything that's appropriated.
So
That
we-
is not the case. And that's what happened last year. We underspent the budget, and I've learned this new term since I've been here, turn back. That's on the appropriation side only, takes nothing into consideration on revenues.
Right.
Departments generally are spending less than what is appropriated.
And the revenues coming in is going to be more, and this 4 is going to drop back down to 2, 2.5, somewhere in that neighborhood of the end of that year. And so actually what we're doing, we're setting the same tax rate and we're saving money, and we're and going down, and each department head is actually saving money by cutting and going forward like we did this year. And so what we're wanting to do is a resolution to move this thing on to the full commission.
I think the question on the floor, Gerald, is whether we want to move it on with a recommendation or just move it on.
Randy, do you have a projected number for turn back this year? I know I'm asking you to look into your crystal ball. Based on the way expenses are running right now?
I'd rather not parse it. I've stated publicly that I think we'll only use $2.9-ish million out of fund balance for this year, and you've appropriated a greater use than that. Fund balance to me is both the revenues and the expense side. Turn back only addresses the expense side, and I've got confidence that the elected officials and department heads will continue to be prudent and not spend everything that's been appropriated. And if that's the case, and I have no reason to doubt that, then we won't use as much fund balance as has been budgeted.
I mean, we've basically only got a month and a half left,
Correct.
so you don't have any idea where we're headed.
I'm telling you, I think we're going to be probably in the neighborhood of $1.5 million better off
Okay.
at the end of this year than we planned on being.
Okay.
And that would put us taking how much out of fund balance?
2.9.
2.9. So
If you
we've
keep
got-
asking the same question, you're going to get the same answer.
But what I'm trying to make sure is to figure out when that time runs out. Because if we keep spending out of fund balance, eventually it's gone. And if it's 2.9, if it's 4.8, it's less than 3 years before the fund balance is depleted.
That's correct, and I don't want to sound, we have got, if you want better information, we're going to have to invest in better technology, folks. I mean, we're about 6 inches to the right of having an abacus around here. And if we're going to change the way we do business, which people are our largest cost, we're going to have to invest in technology if you want savings on the human resource side. That's the only solution. And we have a deficit of technology in Blount County government.
I don't think anybody will argue.
Oh, there'll be some that argue, I promise you.
And the office holders have done,
The office holders have been
some good
able, because
work,
they have
yeah.
dedicated resources that come through the court system, they have dedicated resources to keep their systems updated. And we're sitting here operating with early 1980s technology.
you won't get any argument from me.
And if we run out of baling wire and duct tape, we're in trouble.
Any other discussion?
So the current motion is just to move it on.
Is to move it on without a recommendation.
Very good.
May I at least go over the other funds?
Yes,
Because
go
they
ahead.
are a part of that same resolution. The highway department budget would be set at $6.3 million, and it is balanced in revenue and in expenses. The general purpose school fund, to Troy's point that he just briefed you on, and part of the reason we asked for the recess of the meeting is so we could see what the outcome of the election would be on the sales tax referenda. And that budget now will be $81,864,000. That's Fund 141.
But that's gonna remain at $1.08, right?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So we're proposing roughly an $800,000 increase because of the positive budget variance, the new revenue, and I'm scanning quickly where, Mr. Chairman, could Mr. Logan add any information, does he have any idea of these line items where this additional funding is going to go? Where they're directing it, Mr. Chairman?
Troy, if you come up and answer that, please.
Yes, you're talking about the increase that we just realized.
800.
The net increase to revenues from the previous submitted budget was $475,000. And that's as a result of the sales tax plus the reevaluation of the penny that Randy's office called me with. And this is pending board approval because I just got these numbers today. I put $475,000 in textbooks for reading textbooks.
Textbooks.
Now-
Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
But Commissioner Moon, just to remind you that it's on the board agenda for tonight. The board meets tonight, and I'm going to go over that with them. But we just got those numbers. I just got the reevaluation of the penny this morning, calculated the sales tax figure this morning, and so I haven't taken that to the board for their approval. That for the reading textbooks.
Is there any other questions for Troy while he's here?
Yes. So what we're sending forward is 81,864, right?
That's correct. And
Okay, and then I'm not following you that that's only a $475,000 increase. It appears to me to be a $790,000 increase.
Well, I'm saying 475 from the first budget that we turned in.
Okay.
But, correct,
But
from
the
last year's
amended-
budget, it
Between
is,
the current amended budget
Yeah.
and the new budget, you're picking up right at 800,000?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay.
just to make certain everybody understands, there are two, and you correct me, there are two increases in revenue in the school budget. One is this incremental increase in sales tax, and then the revaluation of the penny on the property tax, and that causes an increase in revenue for them as well.
And so that's what made up the 790,000?
No,
No, not all of that, no.
they're proposing to use fund balance in this budget as well on the,
Well, that's true, I'm sorry, that's correct.
How much fund balance are you using?
329.
Only 329?
329, 190,000 of that is carryover from state technology monies that we received this year, but we have not spent all of that yet. So we have to spend that on technology. We've not got it all spent. We're going to carry it over. So it's in fund balance, so that's part of that.
Where's that going to leave your fund balance?
Again, if we end up, I think we'll end the year, this year, close to 4 million. So if we use 329,
3 3/4, 375?
yeah,
375.
yeah.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussions, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think the school board should be commended for bringing a realistic budget this year and not, is this the only budget you've received that's been presented to the
This is
Chairman of the
this is the
Budget
only
Committee?
budget that we've received from the schools, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
You've not submitted any other budget to us other than the one we have in front of us on 141.
No, other than the first one that was submitted back in
Right.
1st of March. So,
I'd also like to mention that highway superintendent reduced from 6,596 down to 6,3. So, I mean, that's considerable cut in his budget also.
Can I ask,
Go ahead.
Randy, page 9, under the budget summary, debt service, this increase in fund balance, is that what you were referring to earlier? We're calling a $400,000 back in there. Is that what I see at the bottom of the page?
Yes, the difference between the revenue that we're projecting of 16.3 million and the projected expenses of 15.9 million.
But that's the money that we're, that's what's going back in, okay.
Yes, if you, in simple form, if you start with a beginning fund balance of 8.1, you add the revenues to it and subtract the expenses, we're projecting about a $400,000 increase in fund balance. Now, if you'll recall, when we presented this to you in the workshop, we showed you 3 different scenarios of interest rate assumptions, and we picked the middle one. So because we have variable rate debt, we have to assume certain rates of return or certain rates of cost of capital. So we think that's still realistic in the environment we're in right now, and we've had those discussions with our financial advisor, and we all feel comfortable on that. But short of some disaster out here in the world economy, I don't expect us to deviate much from this proposal. All right, are there any other questions on the debt service? So we're projecting a budget of $15.9 million in 15,921,658 in expenses on the debt service budget. On Courthouse Jail Maintenance Fund, a budget of $185,300. Well, all library would be $8,438. The public library would be $2,135,970. The drug control fund would be $203,500. The federal schools project fund would be $6,487,442. The central cafeteria fund, $5,793,000. Extended daycare program fund would be $1,628,000. And then the highway capital projects fund is $317,400. So the total appropriation resolution would be $165,781,994. That would be the cumulative effect of all the budgets that have been presented to you, coupled with the feedback and the most current information we have as of yesterday.
Mr. Chairman, when will this budget be online?
Randy?
As soon as your motion is final, we will post this online. There will be a memo that the mayor sends out as chairman of the budget committee to each member of county commission, and it would have the detailed information contained in it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Then we start the public process where we print whatever your recommendation is. It will be published in the newspaper, and then we'll have the public hearing that starts our meeting in June.
That answer your question? Is there any other discussion Commissioner Lewis, are you still not wanting this to be passed through as a recommendation? Yes. Okay, all right. All right. If there's no more discussion, I'll ask for roll call vote on sending this on to the commission. That's what we're voting on.
Kirby? Yes. Lewis? Yes. Mitchell?
Yes.
Moon? Yes. Samples? Yes. The motion's passed.
Okay. Okay, yep. Item H is the finance report. It's for information only. This time I'll ask for any input on items not on the agenda. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.